Hi there, I'm Shaggy. I'm Philaliteia. You've clicked into one of my long forms, or YouTube has done you the kindness of sharing me with you. I am a religious person, but I try to approach religion from a scientific and secular perspective, which means that I shouldn't have talked about atheism, and I did. And so, I'm in a conversation with a guy who seems to be very confused about what atheism really is, and so I'm going to use his comments while divorcing them from him, the person, to try to talk about some big ideas. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that video in my argument, and then we're going to try to empathize with his position, and then ultimately we're going to establish how he's wrong, and hopefully we can move forward into a kind of future where we all have the same terminology. That's what I want to work for. So let's get at that. This is an experiment for me. Let's see how well we do. Okay, so here's how I think I'm going to try this. I'm going to put the first comment right here, and the second comment right here, and then we'll parse those things out by listening to my original video, or at least the part of my original video I think they might be referring to. Good morning, YouTube. I am Shaggy. I am Philaliteia. Wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope this finds you well. I got a little rant here because this Christian is trying to take Thomas Aquinas' position, but he's going to be doing it wrong. Because what Thomas Aquinas says is that an atheist cannot argue, not that they can't reason. He says an atheist can't argue about God with reason because they have to concede too many of their points. If an atheist position is that there cannot be a God, then they cannot argue with a person who has had an experience of God without conceding to the experience. Taking the atheist position is to take a non-existential position, to say that we have no existence and nothing matters. Now look at me and give me all the money. I get so much negative feedback for wanting direct support, for wanting direct engagement, for wanting involvement, for wanting participation, which is magic. That's ritual and ceremonial magic. And then you give all of that money and you say nothing negative to an atheist doing ritual magic. I get very upset about this. Okay, that seems to be what he's taking umbrage with. That atheist evidently can believe and participate in ritual and ceremonial magic. So having just defined what that is, it's group participation, which is cult, whether locally or non-locally. A truthful, scientific, materialist, atheist would insist that there is no way to consciously manipulate quantum entanglements to make magic possible. So let's define our terms. Atheism is a Greek word, or at least it's nodding toward Greek phonemes, right? Syllables. The A means no. The The means thei or theo, which means it's a deity, not God, the capital G God that you think of, like in theology. It's actually just the supernatural. And ism is an ismos, and ismos is effectively a worldview. It's a way of thinking about reality. If the way you think about reality is truly atheist, that means that you are a fully modern intellectual. That means that your intellectual processes have undergone all of the social evolution since 1950. That means that you have fully integrated the implications of the quantum and astrophysical realms on your life. And what you have declared is that there's no deity. There's no Godhead. Theism is saying that, yeah, there's a supernatural. The various theisms tend to be called religions. Religion is actually an extremely inaccurate and too often used word, too broadly used word. It's poorly defined. In fact, it actually doesn't have a singular scholarly definition. Hinduism isn't an ismos in the same way that Christianity is an ismos. But what they have in common is that they conditioned the people who believe in them or who were educated in their systems to view the world in a particular way. And once viewing the world in a particular way, to act within the world in a particular way. Atheism is a declaration that there is no particular way to act within the world. And that's fine. You're allowed that position. But then to declare that there are atheist religions is a little bit silly, because religion is binding oneself to a supernatural order and an order and intelligence higher than yourself. And atheism is the declaration that there is no intelligence or order higher than the current human order and intelligence. In fact, that there are no hierarchies of intelligence. And then to just claim that Buddhism is a religion and B, atheist, is just false. Buddhism is an offshoot and expression of Hinduism. In fact, the best way that I've heard Buddhism described is that it's Hinduism packaged to go for other peoples. Because Hinduism actually isn't that popular in India. Maybe my Indian subscribers can tell me how wrong I am about that. All I know is what the historians and the scholars say. So anyway, if you're a fully modern atheist, first of all, belief is something that you just don't care about. You discarded belief in the 18th century. Because declarations of belief are a 16th and 17th century social evolution. And by the founding of the United States, they were discovered to be entirely useless. Modern scholarship on the history of religion is beginning to understand that declarations of belief are totally useless. Even asking people anthropologically what they believe is utterly useless. What you believe has nothing to do with how you identify. Exactly like our commenter here. He believes in a magic system and declares atheism. Well, here's the problem. So we've sort of defined ceremonial and ritual, but we haven't actually defined magic. Magic is the belief that there is a supernatural order to the universe, that supernatural order is manipulable, that you can manipulate it at the human level, and that through manipulating it with ritual or ceremony or other mystical approaches, you can directly change outcomes in the material world. Magic is often about providing beneficial outcomes to the individual practitioner. But many people will insist that magic is actually about providing benefits for people besides the practitioner. That's why it continues to be a thing people insist is okay to do, even as a fully modern atheist. So here's the thing, though. If atheism is the declaration that there is no supernatural, that means there is no cosmic order. That means there's nothing to manipulate. That means magic has no system by which it can be efficable, through which it can have efficacy, by which it could possibly be a thing that works. So to the materialist atheist, it just doesn't exist. There is no believing in it, because they don't believe in anything, because belief only gets you into arguments. Like stating that you believe in magic and somebody that says that they get emotionally violent about atheism itself. Come on, dude. A fully modern, rational, liberal person thinks before they hit their keyboard. Why? Because there's a layer of separation between the thought, the words, and hitting send that they can edit through. You don't have to do that with somebody that you know and that you love and that you don't care. But you don't know me, and I told you I get angry about atheism. There's no system by which magic can work. You need better than belief if you're going to tell me what can be true. Thank you for watching. I'm Shaggy. I'm Philaletea. Philaletea means lover of truth. Take care of yourself. Be well and have a good day. Could be your last chance.